Welcome back. This is part 3 of the KC Highlights conversion series that we're doing on the Jeep. In part 1, we installed the Pro6 LED light bar, which is just ridiculously bright and ridiculously good. In part 2, we installed the newly released KC Slim Light 8s, which, if I'm being honest, is currently my favorite in this conversion so far. And in this video, we're installing the Gravity Pro7 headlights for the Jeep JK. I've been eyeing these lights for a very, very long time. If you own a Jeep, you know that from stock, right, especially the JKs, if you don't get like the upgraded LEDs, they are the most horrible headlights ever. And through the years, I have ran like cheaper headlights. The first set I had were called Raxium, I believe, and they were fine and they lit up the scene pretty well, but they did cause like two V-shaped type of weird light patterns, and then eventually those lights started to yellow out, like the coating on the front, and it started to look really bad. And then a couple of months ago, I introduced you guys to the HW Star headlights, the Dragon Eye headlights. And if you remember in that video, I did kind of complain about the way the beam pattern would kind of cut off at a certain point. And I was told that that's because that makes it like street legal, but yet every time I drove the Jeep at night, it bothered me. Which is why I do kind of want to apologize, because it was great to make that video and it looks really cool. It has like a great startup sequence, and for the price that it is, I think it looks pretty nice. Except that, you know, if you are off-roading and you're not trying to go to car shows and you're not trying to impress people with your dancing lights, you just want really good headlights so that you can see at night, when you can see through the trails, you can see even just daily driving, then get yourself good quality headlights, which is why I've been eyeing the KC Highlights Gravity headlights for a really long time, but unfortunately it's just way above like the price range that I was wanting at the time to pay for headlights. Now that I think about it, if I just take all the money that was spent on past headlights, I would have already had a pair of these and they would have still been lasting to this day. Buy once, cry once. It's not just a slogan. Which is why I'm so glad that I connected with KC, because now I get to have my dream headlights finally on the Jeep, and I'm hoping this is it. Like, this is the one and done time that I'm gonna put headlights on this thing, and it's going to treat me well for years to come. Like, just holding this in my hand, I can already feel the quality of this compared to all the other headlights I've had in the past, where they just felt plasticky, they felt cheap. But this thing, I mean, this thing is rock solid. And just the build of it, I mean, even little details like the KC Highlights logo in the back, where you're never gonna see this, and yet they put one there anyway. Standard Jeep wiring harness. This is 7 inches, so it's going to fit your JK. I think this is just going to throw out some really good quality light that is also usable, and me not trying to be in a car show. It's going to be really good on the trail as well as daily driving. So let me just go over the specs on what I'm seeing here on the box. Some of the features: it has a patented GPO, or gravity projector optic technology. It's a die-cast aluminum housing, polycarbonate lens. It is DOT compliant. Plug-and-play installation, as I showed you with the plug in the back, and it's a direct fitment for Jeep JKs or JKUs. Wattage at low beam 18 watts, high beams 25 watts. Amp draw is 1.88 amps. Voltage is 9 volts to 18 volts. Waterproof rating has an IP68 rating, which is awesome that it has that, because I've had past headlights before where it started to get moisture inside. There's like a lot of ingress that's coming in because it's not really rated for waterproofing. And when you are doing water crossings, sometimes your headlights are going to get submerged. So you want something where water is not going to get inside your unit and damage it. Product dimensions is 7 inches wide, 7 inches high, and 5.17 inches deep this way. Candela at low beams 40,000 CD, and at high beams 70,000 CD. And beam distance at low beams 400 meters and high beams 529 meters. So yeah, let's get these things on and finally end my headlight misery once and for all. To remove the existing headlights, we have to remove the grille, and we do that by popping out the plastic rivets that hold it in place and then slide it off the bottom. Unfortunately, because of my winch, it's very difficult to remove my grille completely without risk of damaging it. If you're in that same situation, don't worry. You just need to have the grille loose enough so you can push it out of the way to access the 4 small bolts to hold the headlight ring in place. It does become a bit more difficult this way, but it's doable. Just make sure you're careful with the 4 bolts as they are very small and can easily get lost. With the ring removed, you can pop out the existing headlight. From here, just unplug it from the harness and plug the new headlights in. Now we'll run the test to make sure it works. When placing the headlights in, make note of the orientation as there are notches in the back that line up with the factory notches on the vehicle. On the headlight itself, you'll see an arrow showing which side is up to help guide you. You need to make sure the notches line up or you'll never be able to get the ring back on properly. Once they're placed in properly, you can now put the ring back over the headlight, bolt them back into place, and then reattach the grille. Simple as that. I'm speechless right now, considering the journey I've been on when it comes to the headlights of this Jeep. I started with the OEM Jeep JK headlights, the incandescent ones, and oh my God, they were just horrible. And then I moved into the Raxium or Axiom or whatever that is. And they were fine and they treated me well for a while, but then they started to yellow. And then it also creates like this V-shaped pattern out of each light that can get distracting. And then I moved into the HW Star headlights, but we'll address that in just a bit. And then I jumped into the Gravity Pro7s from KC. It's like you've been eating Waffle House steak pretty much for years, and Waffle House steak, it's not bad, it's pretty tasty, but then one day you taste Wagyu. This is the Wagyu of headlights is what I'm saying. But speaking of the HW Star, see, a couple months ago I did a review on the HW Star headlights, and as budget headlights go, they're not bad. If that's the budget that you have for like headlights, you can't go wrong with them. But one of the complaints that I had about it, if you watch that video, is that it creates, like when you shine it down the road, it creates this sharp line that you could see. And when you've been driving a while, that can get a little distracting. Like you kind of can see it. And they said that's how it has to be for it to be DOT approved. And I get it. Like it's higher in the front so you can see things, but it's lower on the side so that you're not blinding the opposite traffic. And guess what? The Gravity Pro7s from KC has the same pattern. If you shine it on a garage wall, you're going to see that same exact pattern. But what makes it different is once you hit the road, then it actually acts where it's brighter here, dimmer here, without this kind of this sharp line that becomes distracting like after hours of use, which is the problem I had with HW Star. Whereas when I turned the Gravity Pro7s on, it just lit it up so smoothly, and it just the whole road in front of me without the slim light 8s being on, without the Pro 6s on top being on, just the headlights itself. The funny thing is we just got back from a 13-hour drive from Arkansas where we went to see the solar eclipse, and we were driving at night, and there was a point where my wife had taken over and I fell asleep. When I woke up like an hour later, she was like, "Did you get new headlights?" My wife doesn't always remember like the stuff that comes into this house. So I reminded her, yeah, that's part of the whole KC highlights package that they sent me. And she was like, it just looked really good. I was wondering like, why did these headlights look so good? It was so clear, it was dark, and I could see everything. And that is immediately when I knew that these headlights make a huge difference in what I've ever had before. I am kicking myself for not having invested in these lights when I first started eyeing them a long time ago. Like, it took KC to send me these lights for me to realize what it was that I was missing. But my thought process back then was, well, I'm fixing up this rig and I want to put some off-road lights on it, because off-road lights, I mean, they're awesome. They make your rig look cool and they're great for night wheeling. But think about how often you will use off-road lights versus how often you use your headlights. Headlights are being used daily, and yet somehow we make them an afterthought because we want to get the cooler off-road lights on our rigs. If I could go back, I would have upgraded the headlights first and then proceeded to get the off-road lights after, because the headlights are really what's important. You want something that gives you great visibility, something that is safe and that will allow you to see the road, and at the same time, something of high quality that's going to last you the entire length that you own that vehicle. Point is, if you're new to this whole thing and you have a vehicle that you want to modify and get it off-road and overland ready, upgrade your headlights first if your headlights suck, and get really good headlights, because those are going to be more paramount than any off-road lights that you can get. Now, I can go and rant about this new philosophy I'm suddenly having on lights, but I don't want to make this video too long. We still have a couple more videos that we're going to be doing for the KC Highlights conversion series. Next up, we're going to install rock lights, and then in the last part, we're going to be installing the FE1s, which I am excited to show you because it has a feature that I didn't know it had, and I am excited to try out. But if you like this video, please make sure you smash, actually, don't smash, spend a little extra on that like button, because that like button is paramount. Subscribe to our channel, click that notification bell so we can let you be aware of new videos when it comes out. And if it moves you, support us on Patreon. It gives you access to all of our videos before everyone else, and gives you access to our live streams when we do them. And as always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Baptism Overland. My name is Asia Sampson, and I'll see you in part 4.